What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Got a little music playing in the back today as we get ready for another Tuesday show. Make sure I got everything sorted out here. Play a little bit more music as everybody comes to tune in a little bit, man. Sometimes you need a little music. Get the energy right, get the mind right. All right, let me make sure I got all my stuff lined up. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Another Tuesday. And as we get going, as we get started, man, hope everybody's doing well. Hope Monday was off to a good start. It's crazy how, it felt like the year just started and we're almost in March. You know what I'm saying? That's always crazy to me, man. Always crazy to me, man. How quickly time does fly. How quickly time does fly. For everybody that's going to tune in, let me know how the week has been going. We had to play a little bit music at the beginning. There a little bit of reggae happening. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I like to play a little bit of music to get the mind right, to get the strength right, man. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening today. Canelo Alvarez is heavy in the news, and we're going to touch on a little bit about that as we move forward through the show. But again, hope everybody is doing well, man. My man, Big Chris, what's going on, my brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Always love whenever you're able to tune in, man. I really appreciate you, man. Okay. Well, for those that will tune in, for those that will catch the replay of the live, let's touch on what we're going to be talking about today, man. We got to recap some fights. Got to talk about Takuma Inoue and his performance against Jerwin Ancajas. Very, 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 very excellent performance from him. We got to talk about Nakatani and Santiago, Edgar, Berlanga, and Mccory. And then we got to get into a whole bunch of different things, man. So let us start. My brother Francisco from AZ. What's going on, my brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. Pardon my voice a little bit. Seems to be fading a little bit, but I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right. Let's get into it, man. Let's jump into it. Don't really want to wait too long. I got some thoughts on some of these stuff that we're going to discuss. Let's start right here. Let's talk about Takuma Inoue, man, and his performance. What do you guys think about this one? What did you guys think about this one? For me personally, a Takuma Inoue stoppage was something that I did not see coming. I didn't see that coming. That was one of those things that blindsides you and hits you. The speed of Takuma Inoue, man, it was remarkable. Right, he was looking extra sharp that night. He never let Jerwin Ancajas really get into the groove of things. Anytime Ancajas was pushing forward, Takuma Inoue would come back with 2-3 shot combinations, and he was able to get him off of them. The one thing that really developed and grown in him was the inside game, man. I thought that was a spot where Ancajas was going to be able to capitalize it from in close. And he was going to the body, hitting the ribs, and that's where I thought he was going to target, right? Inoue coming in, had to pull out the fight the first time because of the ribs. The ribs were a little bit tender. And so I thought he was going to target that. But, man, shout out to Inoue for how he was able to perform and how locked in that he was. There was a sequence when he hit Ancajas with a body shot, and he just backed up, and he was laughing. I was like, yo, Inoue's tapped into this level of confidence. So it was a great performance for him, man. I wasn't doubting the fact that he could win the fight. I thought Ancajas was going to be able to break him down a little bit towards the end of the fight, but the Inoue stoppage was something I didn't see coming, man. I was I was actually very, very, very impressed with that performance. I really couldn't find too much fault with it personally. I thought from the jump, the speed was a big factor. And the combination was a big factor, and how he was able to get in range and get out of range, man. I thought he was in trouble when they were on the inside, but then he seemed like he went to his corner the next round, and they were like, yo, none of that. Let's go back to boxing. So he really executed the adjustment in the fight, man. So shout out to Takuma Inoue, man. That was a great performance. He's still not a big puncher to me, but man, it was a beautiful body shot. So shout out to him, man. I was not expecting that type of performance. I thought Ancajas was going to bring it a little bit more, but I credit all that to Takuma Inoue and how he was able to execute what his team wanted to do, man. So shout out to him for that, man. What do you guys think about it? My man Bew, what's going on, man? Takuma looked amazing in there, so comfortable in the pocket. Absolutely. I was surprised by that one, man. I think again, I couldn't find no flaw in that performance. I thought that was his best performance to date, man. I thought that was a performance that just makes you go like, yo, this guy, you know, and maybe that's my little bit of my naiveness. I don't know if I wasn't really sold on him before, and I'm not saying that I am now, but I was impressed. I was impressed by how he handled himself, man. It was solid. Statement win for Takuma. Perfect. Yeah, man. We in the same boat. We in the same boat. I did not see a Takuma Inoue stoppage come, man, but the man looked right. He looked nice. He looked nice. I got to give him that. In the same division, or is Junto up one? Junto is up one. Junto is up one. And we're gonna talk about that man as well too. That man vicious, man. And you know what? We're gonna talk about it anyway. TJ, what's going on, big dog? Good to see you, my brother, man. Shout out to my guy TJ, man. Always love, bro. Any other thoughts on Inoue, Ancajas? If not, man, let's go to Nakatani stopping Santiago. Man, I have respect for Santiago, bro, because how he was able to perform against Donito Donaire and some of the fights that were draws on his career, I thought he got the short end on some of those fights. But in this fight, whoo, there's like a levels, and then there's like a gap. And I thought that Santiago was going to be able to, you know, stretch it out a little bit and do a little bit more work and make it the full distance of the fight. But I remember watching that second round and I was just like, holy crap, yo, I don't think Santiago can close the gap. Like, I don't think he can get in close without getting clipped. And I don't know about you guys, but did Nakatani look like taller to you in the ring? Did he look like rangier into the ring? Like, his reach was ridiculous. I was like, yo, what's going on? Yo, this man is like Stretch. This man was like, maybe that's the new nickname I'm gonna call him, Junto Stretch Arm Nakatani, because that's exactly what it looked like. And Santiago just couldn't do anything without getting popped with a shot. He would be trying, but he would just be getting backed up each and every single time, man. Nakatani, man, that man's a problem, man. That man is a problem. He can fight anywhere. Cortez gave him a tough matchup. I thought it was going to be similar to that, but man, you know, I figured Nakatani would win the fight, but I wasn't sure he would be able to stop him. But man, that was a beautiful, beautiful fight, man. Junto Nakatani, the Japanese fighters as a whole right now, man, they're having a great year so far, man. Having a great year so far. What do you guys think about that fight, man? And I want to ask you this before I go over to the comments. Junto Nakatani, do you consider him pound for pound fighter now? Do you consider him top 10? Do you still need to see a little bit more? I don't need to see a little bit more. To me personally, the man dangerous. The man dangerous. The man dangerous. The man dangerous, man. Very, very, very skillful, athletic, rangy, strong, accurate, smart, really, really solid fighter, bro. Like, I really like Nakatani. What do you guys think? Let's go to these comments. I could only see Inoue winning on points and Ancajas on stoppage, but we expect, man, you know how boxing is, my man. We can say it one way, and then all of a sudden things always sometimes seem to change, man. I feel like Takuma could be starting to sit down more on his punches, sitting in the pocket more with powerful punches. His inside fight, man, something that I didn't think it was that polished. I didn't think it was that polished, but man, look good. Look good. Appreciate that. What's up, Colton, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you tuning in, my brother. Appreciate you tuning in. Man, yeah, bro. I don't know, bro. We can make a case. He may be right there, man. He may be at least on that 10. It's just who do you take out, which is always a tough conversation. But man, yeah, that man, he's there. He's there for me. He's there for me. And on the outside, I came from my book. Man, the contest was off, man. The contest was off. Somebody else got it. Somebody else got it, my brother. My man Pablo from Chile. What's going on, man? What's going on, my brother? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. You did. I remember you saying that, my brother Chris. I had Junto 10th round stoppage with Santiago. Got found out earlier, not shocked by the stoppage, to be honest. Santiago walks into too many shots. Yeah, man, he got clipped against Nito Donaire with that left hand against the ropes cleanly, and he just stunned. But it's tough cat, man. Hopefully he doesn't get forgotten about, bro. Sometimes I hate when fighters lose a fight and people just forget about him. You know what I'm saying? And Santiago is a quality opponent. Like, he's not easy work. So hopefully this loss, he doesn't get lost in the shuffle of things and we still get to see him. Inoue, Nakatani, biggest fight in Japan, New Year's Eve 2025. That would be a fight, man. I'll be interesting to see where that is held. I know the Neri and Inoue fight is being held in the same arena as Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas. I'm not sure how much that seats, but man, like, that would be a great fight, and that would sell out in days. That would be a great fight. Junto looks so sharp. Sadly, small weight categories fighter need many outstanding performances to be considered as a pound for pound. Yeah, man, I agree. But I think sometimes there's exceptions to the rule, man. Like, I haven't really seen Nakatani in a bad fight, like a fight where I've seen him get clipped. We've seen him get hit. But as far as him just getting, bullied inside the ring, I thought he's been pretty clear, definitive with his performances, man. So, we'll see. And it also doesn't help that he's fighting more times than not on that side of the world. And if he's going to be pound for pound, he's got to, be seen a little bit more. It's just, Inoue's style and the way how he fights transcends globally. And I think he gets a lot more recognition because of that. I actually think Berlanga beats Pacheco. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like Pacheco, man. Very interesting. Crypto Chris. What's going on, Crypto Chris? Appreciate that, man. Much love, Crypto Chris. I'm not even going to call you Crypto Chris. I'm going to just call you Chris. Appreciate you, my man. Appreciate that, man. It's love. I don't take these comments, these genuine words for granted by no means, man. It's all love and appreciation. Like to see Takuma versus Emmanuel Rodriguez, the unification bout. Absolutely. That's a good fight right there. Yeah, Junto is 5 feet 7.5 inches, which is really tall for bantamweight. Kind of like Brilliant, who was a 6'3" welterweight. That's crazy. 6'3"? I don't remember a whole bunch of Brilliant's fight, but I didn't know he was that tall. Yo, that's crazy. That's crazy. Junto was the same height and size of Nito Donaire. Man, sometimes like a fighter looks much bigger than the actual thing. To me, he looks much bigger than Nito Donaire. To me, anyway. But thanks for that, man. Bam been linked to fight Junto next. Man, I thought he was supposed to fight Estrada, was it? I thought I saw that somewhere there. Hey, I'd love to see that fight as well, too. Feel like Junto was a very hard fight for Inoue. Inoue let the Palace have some decent moments, but I don't know if Junto can take the power. Yeah, I mean, eventually we're going to see Junto tested, just like how eventually we're going to see Inoue tested, I feel like, at some point. Just a matter of when and how will they fare, man. But, that would be interesting matchup. I'd love to see it if it does happen down the road. Junto, Inoue, Super Bowl fight. Well, there's 6'6" Fundora. Yeah. Like, when somebody makes a statement, you're like, yeah, so Yeah, I forgot about the Towering Inferno, man. Yeah, so that was my thoughts on the fight, man. Let's keep it pushing. We got other stuff to discuss as well, too. We got to touch on Edgar Berlanga versus Padraig Mccory. Man, I tweeted this as well, too. I felt like this was the performance that Edgar Berlanga needed. And as we'll talk about the result of this fight a little bit later, he needed this, man. I felt like he was due for a stoppage at some point. The way how he performed against Quigley, 3 knockdowns, 4 knockdowns, he always gets a tough credit, especially in the early part of his career where he was stopping everybody in the first round, second round, whatever the case may be. And then it went on the span where you started to see things start to open up a little bit and he started to get exposed in some holes of his development as a fighter. But I thought he did well against Quigley. And sometimes you see it and you're just like, Quigley and Mccory to me are similar in some ways. And so it was the performance that he needed. And to be honest, man, I felt like he actually looked pretty good in the fight. A little bit shaky in the sense of he's a little bit hesitant, but you could, at the beginning, very patient, but you could see he was trying to think his way into finding the right shot. He's not demanding and depending now on just his power. Now he's developing and trying to add a little bit strategy and game plan and structure to it. And so I like this performance from Berlanga. I thought this was a stoppage that he needed to make a statement, and he did that. So I felt like it was a good performance, and it's obviously going to lead to some other things. But, we'll see what's next, man. We'll see what's next. What do you guys think about this performance? It was crazy, man. The back and forth. People were DMing me about, Berlanga's going to get stopped in the first round. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, let's not let our biasness stop us a little bit, but it was a fight that he needed to make a statement. And I felt like he did. And from the news that I've seen today, it seems like he did. What do you guys think about the fight, man? Let's hit the comments. See what you guys think about here. My man, Chris, we're talking about it right now, man. Tap in. Let me know what you think about this fight. Any thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. Berlanga lost the rounds to Quigley, where he didn't get a knockdown. He needed those knockdowns to win the fight, man. And once he got his groove, man, and once Quigley started to slow down a little bit, Berlanga took over. Berlanga looked fairly strong, in my opinion, but the cheap shots he threw did not look good on him. Man, he is starting to do stuff like that now. You know what I'm saying? He bit my man Angolo, and then now, got a man tied up, and you just, put that real I don't know what he thought. Maybe he forgot we were on national TV. He's on TV, so you thought you was gonna be slick about it. My man tied him up and said, "You know what? Hold that, hold that quick elbow." I was like, "Bro, we can see you. We know we can see you." And he played it off like, "Yo, what happened?" I'm like, "Come on, bro." So I don't know, man. It worked. He got under his skin. It worked. Berlanga needed the stoppage. Otherwise, he would get criticized for winning on points. This was a complete mismatch. Man, again, I agree. He needed that stoppage, man. It wouldn't have looked good moving forward for him if he would have, say, got another knockdown or 2 knockdowns or no knockdowns, and he won split decision. That changes things a little bit. If Berlanga would fill in the slow parts of the fight with the jab against Mccory, I think he would have done much better. Yeah, he was not trying to jab at all, especially in the early part. But when he did use the jab, he was seeing that was really getting through and doing damage on Mccory. But seems like he's worked on his fundamentals a little bit as well, too. His jab looks stiff and strong to me. Berlanga is a good fighter. Doesn't have a high ceiling compared to his counterparts, Benavidez and Morale. Oh, no, those guys put a beating on him. Yeah. Those guys put a beating on him, my man, Chris. I agree. Berlanga isn't there yet. Getting better to me, but he not there yet. Mccory, same level as Quigley. Not saying that disrespectfully. That'd be a good fight between them two. Hey, maybe that's the fight that they both make next. That would be interesting. So good performance from Berlanga, man. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about that. It kind of went how I expected. Although I thought that the stoppage would have happened a little bit later, say around 8 or 9. but you know, he was able to do it quicker. Nice right hand too. Boom, right on the chin, right on the chin. So let's any other performances on the card that you saw. I mentioned this one because I want to get your thoughts on it because I was watching it and I'm sure you guys are watching as well too. Very disappointed in Gasaev's fight, man. Yeah, felt like that fight, you know, it was a fight that he was supposed to look great. It was a fight that he was supposed to dominate, but yo, he couldn't close out the show against Kano, man. And towards the end of the fight, it looked like Kano was the one that was developing some momentum of the fight, you know. So I don't really want to see Gasaev fight anytime soon, man. But that's just me. So what do you guys think about the fights? Any other fights that come to mind? What do you guys think about it? Let's use this time real quick to touch on any other of the fights that you guys want to touch on the card. But this was the fight to me that I was just like, oh man, bro, you were supposed to look dominant. You were supposed to, you know, win convincingly. I don't know, man. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I felt like didn't like it. Okay, here we go. I mean, never criticize fighters for winning on points. To be honest, unless it's against fighters they should be stopping. I'm still not criticizing Berlanga. Yeah, you know, man, I've always liked Berlanga. You know, the only thing I question about him is the development in his style, in his mind, right? Like, knockouts are great. I love knockouts. You love knockouts. But at some point, man, I'm like, man, he's going to get up against someone who is not going to be intimidated by him. And we need to see a little bit more. So I'm seeing a little bit more each in his last few fights that have went the distance, and he hasn't been knocking them out. But I did like what I saw in this performance, man. I thought it was one of his better ones. Our Berlanga celebration after Mccory showed us how much pressure was inside him. 168 division is getting interesting. Sadly, Canelo holds all the belts. Yeah, he does. 168 has a lot of heavy hitters, man. And you know, it's going to be interesting to see how this stuff all navigates through. But I'm these cats, man. I'm not even trying to wait for Canelo, man. I'm you know, just fight the biggest fights and hopefully, you know, be hopeful that the rest will find its way out, you know, because you know how Canelo moves, which you're going to talk about as well. Sean T, what's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. I appreciate you tuning in. I feel Pacheco is more fundamental style than Berlanga. There are so many good fights at 168, 100%. I do agree in that. So make the call, Akeem. Will Berlanga be a bust, a decent fighter, an okay champion, or a great champion? My brother Francisco, man. Man, that's a great question, man. You know, when we talk about bust, man, you know, it's a little bit, my perspective is a little bit different, but sticking to what my brother Francisco said, a guy I respect his opinion very much, and we have these conversations, I'm going to say he's going to turn out to be a decent fighter. He possibly could be a champion, but I think it depends who has the belt. He's not beating Canelo. He's not beating Morale. He's not beating Benavidez. You know, he's not beating Caleb Plant. But, you know, he's young in those belts. You know, Canelo he's probably going to let go of the belts and he wants to fight 5 more years. Depending on who has the belt there, man, Berlanga could sneak in there and be a champion, a couple title defenses. And he could go from a decent fighter to an okay champion, you know? But again, I do like Berlanga. I hope he's able to achieve whatever he sets out to achieve. But man, 168, oh man, that's it's hot right now in 168, man. It's officially, man, my brother Lionel, man. Hey, I'm with you. Andy Cruz, yeah, Andy Cruz. He looked good, man. He looked fast, skillful. We know what he's about. And what I like about Andy Cruz's style now, the thing for me when I watch him, man, I'm like, man, yo, that pitter, you know, that tap, and just touching. It's great in the amateurs, but in the professional, yo, we don't want to see no taps. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to see no taps and pitter patters because it's not going to get the people really excited. It's not going to get the fans excited. We want to see knockouts. We want to see pressure. We want to at least seeing you be able to flip that switch and being able to turn it on and gun it. So in the past 2 fights of Andy Cruz, I've been seeing him sitting down on the punches a little bit more, trying to go for the knockout, trying to get the stoppage. And even if he may not always get it, the fact that he is willing to put himself out there to try to get it and turn it up a little bit, people like that, right? He's very skillful, takes great angles. You know all of the stuff, the amateur pedigree and the skills that he does possess. But I'm starting to see him transfer that punch and tap from the amateurs to I'm swinging heavy, trying to stop you in the professional setting. So like Cruz, man, we'll see what he does next. Andy Cruz showing his skills, fantastic performance. He just needed a bit more of power to KO. Yeah, I agree. He bullied that man. Like it was a long night for my man. It's a long night for my man. Long night for my man. Do you think it's true that Canelo refused to fight Benavidez? What's going on? It's Magma. Hold this thought, man. We're gonna talk Canelo in a couple seconds here, man. Hold this thought. Hold this thought. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Oh man, Chris is a decent fighter. Berlanga can be a champ like how Rolly became a champ. Hey, man. If it's the right person with the belt, hey, you know, we could sneak in there and take it. So it's possible. It's possible. Berlanga, Canelo sounds, and in September versus Munguia, what do you think their performance will be? I think it was my man Pablo that actually called these 2 opponents for Canelo. So he was right about that. You know what, man? The Munguia fight is interesting. The Munguia fight is interesting. The Berlanga fight, and you know, I don't know. I don't know. If I had to say right now, I'm definitely going to say Munguia, because Munguia isn't going to be intimidated. At least we don't know yet. Look, we're going to touch on that in a little bit. Berlanga, Munguia, Pacheco, Mbili should be the fights, or other way round up against each other respectfully. Man, I would love to see Mbili, Munguia, Pacheco, Berlanga would be great fights. Would be great fights. Bivol shook up and already cautious, moving up Canelo up. He almost entering into exhibition mode. The Path of Least Resistance Tour. Hey, that's a catchy name, my brother Eric R. What's going on, Eric? Good to see you, man. The Path of Least Resistance Tour. Andy Cruz has developed new skills and boosts. Yeah, he's really starting to take cats' head off. I'm like, yo, that's what I'm talking about, Andy Cruz. Don't be pitter-patting, touching. We know you skillful, but let's see you knock a cat's heads off respectfully with all love. You know what I'm saying? So it was good to see Luis Alberto. Oh, you came out hot. And so you came out hot. We haven't even gotten there. You came out hot out the gates. You know, we're going to get there, man. We're going to get there. So let's keep it pushing. You know what? Let's move this topic up, since Canelo has been the talk recently. So, you know, briefly seeing it, Canelo leaves PBC, intends to fight Munguia and Berlanga, man. What do we think about this whole Canelo situation, since Canelo's name's been popping up? What do we think about this, right? From my understanding, from what I've been reading and some stuff that I've been watching, to just do a little bit of research on this topic here, because I don't really talk news too much here, right? That's not really what we do here. Other channels do a greater job of that, but I always want to have a discussion with everybody to get your thoughts and to see what's going on. And so from my understanding, from what I've read and heard, PBC didn't offer David Benavidez. It was supposed to be both Charlo brothers, and the American that they were talking about was supposed to be Errol Spence, right? Which would have been crazy, right? But from my understanding, that was the contract, and that's who PBC was talking about. But then they started to say, you know what? No, instead of Errol Spence, let's allow it to be David Benavidez. But Canelo's camp was just like, yo, that's not what we discussed. And then there was a big money factor in this and that. But from my understanding, the 3 fights was supposed to be the 2 Charlo brothers, and it was supposed to be Errol Spence that got into the mix of things. So I'm just going off what I read and from what I've seen out there. What do you guys think about that? Does that, like, The other thing too for me with the whole Canelo situation, man, and him fighting Munguia, I thought Canelo, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I thought Canelo didn't want to fight any of his countrymen. He didn't want to fight any Mexicans. Is that so? For me, it's like, why are you contradicting yourself? You know what I'm saying? So it didn't really make sense to me, but it's Canelo sometimes. He goes and does what he wants. It's one of those things where like, and he's made so much money as well too. It's not even really about the money, but the way how it is, man. In boxing, you just never know. But those are my thoughts. Canelo's got what? He said he wants to fight 5 more years. I don't know at this point. I don't see Benavidez fight happening. I don't see it. I think Keyshawn Davis has had the better competition. Can't wait for the matchup, though. Absolutely. Keyshawn Davis, man, he's transformed into the professionals. He's done very, very, very well. Shout out to Keyshawn Davis, man. Shout out to Keyshawn Davis, the businessman. Very nice performance in his last performance, man. I'd respect Keyshawn Davis more if he demanded Cruz now. Young fighters seem to either lost or have been schooled on how you enter the game. Before you become a name, you bully the block. Man, like that's a fight to me, bro, where that fight, the moment Keyshawn, Andy Cruz, the name is announced, like, that tickets are gone. Even if that's a headliner, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a sold out because of all the history of it. I did hear Keyshawn and Adam Azim going back and forth about it, saying they want to see the fight. That's a good fight as well, too. 2 new cats on the block, as you're saying, my brother Eric. I'd love to see that fight as well, too. But the fight with Cruz is going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of when, or, people forget about it and go different routes sometimes. Canelo moving back to the zone with Eddie Hearn so he can get paid. I see Canelo fighting in Saudi potentially. I'm not impressed that is Berlanga and Munguia. Both aren't ready for, in my opinion. Absolutely, I don't think so either. But I do think Munguia will put forth a better performance than Berlanga. I think Berlanga would come in and be a little bit intimidated by the Canelo effect, whereas I think Munguia would at least let his hands go a little bit more and try to hurt him. I don't think either guy is ready, in my opinion. It's crazy saying that because Munguia has over 40 fights, but Canelo's a different cat in there, man. Especially, cats kind of freeze up when they see Canelo in the ring. The walls are closing in on Canelo. Man, I think the only way that we're going to get to see those fights, man, is if people just start boycotting the fights, bro, But you know how it goes. Bro, Billy looks like a destroyer. Pacheco might be able to keep him at distance. Man, that would be such a good fight, man. That would be such a good fight. I would love to see how those guys go into the fight from a cardiovascular standpoint. Mbili is in amazing shape. And the fact that man throws, there's no jabs in Mbili. It's just heavy punches. At least Pacheco has a jab. I'd love to see it. And it's time for Mbili to take that step up, man. And we get to see him fight in some bigger fights. Berlanga certainly isn't, of course. Canelo wants him next. The good cherry-picking king. We're definitely going to see probably that next. Canelo can contradict himself because his fan base no longer holds him accountable. They turn into Al Davis. Just win, baby. Shout out to Al Davis and the Raiders, man. Shout out to the Raiders. But it's true, man. I don't know, bro. Canelo's an interesting cat to me, man. Interesting cat to me. For Canelo team, Munguia or Berlanga are perfect opponents. Both are beatable, commercially sounds like a sold-out T-Mobile and great paper sales for boxing fans. Not what are we looking for? Not what we're looking for, but it's probably what we're going to get, right? And it's just, man, like to me, I feel like once you make a certain amount of money, it's like, if you got the money, it's like, what else are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go and actually give the fights to big fans. The big fights get you paid even more. and people respect you a lot more. So personally, I just think Canelo is losing a lot more respect the more he fights these opponents, right? Nothing against the guys that he's facing, Munguia or Berlanga, but as we all know, there are other people who deserve this opportunity a lot more than both of these cats. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. We consider Berlanga a big draw. Munguia would be okay out of the two. Man, I don't know. That's a great question. I think I think it's because, correct me if I'm wrong, and Canelo's gotten a better job at this when it comes to, speaking English and putting himself out there a little bit more. But does Munguia know how to speak English, or is it just fluent? I think Berlanga would be able to help him sell the fight a little bit better, and he talk a lot of crazy trash. But it would be interesting, man. I'm not even sure about that one. But I would rather see Munguia fight Canelo over Berlanga fight Canelo, but they're probably both going to fight him. If Canelo lets a lot of time pass, Berlanga could get a unanimous decision, in my opinion. Man, it's if a lot of time passes, if a lot of time passes, it's embarrassing. Canelo is a duck and a soulless money machine. Yeah, that's all he cares about, man. And the thing is, I used to be in the Canelo side where I like the fact that he says, yo, if I'm going to fight 3 times this year, I'm going to fight. And I like the fact that he's active in that sense. But it's just like, man, at some point, man, if people are going to pay you money and pay you to watch the fights, we don't want to see you fight John Ryder. No disrespect to John Ryder, man, but we don't want to see you fight John Ryder. We don't want to see you fight Avni Yildirim. We don't want to see you fight those cats and pay money for that. No, nobody want to see that, man. WBC love protecting their champions, Canelo and Tyson Fury, man. Tyson Fury had the belt forever. And the man hasn't had the, yeah, man. Andy Cruz, Keyshawn is white hot. Promoter need to understand that some fights can be built organically, such as this. You want to see the best versus the best, not resume debate. Man, I couldn't say it any better, man. I couldn't say it any better. So those are my thoughts on Canelo. Yeah. Any more thoughts on Canelo before we move forward? We need to stop saying Canelo and Tank are the face of boxing and uplift fighters like Bud, Haney, Benavidez. It's an interesting thing, bro, because they're always going to be looking at the sales perspective. They're always going to look at who's fighting, who's bringing in the most sales, right? Who's bringing the most pay-per-view gate. And so when you look at it, it's like Canelo is international. Like people know him all over the place. And people know Tank because Tank knocks cats out, but I do agree. Bud, Haney, Benavidez, there's a bunch of other ones who could use more recognition. Urgent question. What do you think of increase to Benavidez? Man, I'm taking Benavidez all day, every day, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I think 168, Benavidez kind of strains himself a little bit, making that weight. In the recent fights, how he's looked incredible. He's looked in shape. He's looked chiseled. He's looked right. He's looked strong. But I think at 175, he looks even better, in my opinion. Who is hyping Berlanga like that? He's another Joey Spencer to me, a step-up fight away from a disaster. That's why they're probably like, yo, let's just get this Canelo fight. So if we say we're going to lose, we'll be losing to Canelo and not anybody else. And he's going to say, oh, let's get as much money as we can, So that's a situation that I see. So Berlanga, he's like, yo, let's get this fight ASAP. Shout out to Joey Spencer, man. He was in the wrong fight against Jesus Ramos. After being beaten by Mashkas Bivol, I think Canelo doesn't want any kind of risk. Yeah, his ego might be hurt a little bit. The Mexican duck and the gypsy duck. The gypsy duck. Although Tyson Fury might say, like, I'm a swan or some stuff like that, man. But anyway, man, let's move forward. Let's talk about some of the fights that's happening this week. Any thoughts changed on any performance this week, man? I know Otabek, Kalmatov, and Raymond Ford Supporters have been going crazy back and forth in the comment section of the video, man. I think that's going to be a very interesting fight. Very, very, very interesting fight. I'm still rolling with Lopez. I'm still rolling with Ford. Some of the other videos that we did that's happening this weekend as well, too. Abbas Baru and Sam Eggington was another interesting fight. Of course, Amanda Serrano is in the ring as well, too. Another 12-round, 3-minute fight. Gonna be interesting how she handles that. So we got a lot of action-packed fights this weekend across the globe. But whatever I put out, I don't change my prediction. I stand on what I said. But for those that have any changes this week leading up to the fights, now is the time to say it. Anything changed for you, or are we rocking with the same ones that we got? My man Eric says Tank crossed over. He's a showstopper and a closer. Until fighter learn how to capture the attention of the people who buy fights. And that's why Tank will always be a big draw, face of boxing, because he gives the people what they want, especially as a casual guy. We're all avid watchers of the sport. We're going to watch a fight. Whether we agree with certain things, we're going to watch the fight. But a casual, man, they want to come to the fight to see Cass get knocked out. And Tank, he produces a good product, and so it's hard not to like that. Hard not to like that. Sticking to my predictions, I wear trainers, not flip-flops. That's a bar right there, my brother Chris. Once I make a prediction, I stick by it. Lopez, 7th-round stoppage, Ford on points. 100%. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I got to be honest, man. I like watching Lopez fight. I know a lot of people don't really like his style, but I like it, man. I like the way how it's unconventional, and the man, it looked like, and they're like he's having fun, like he's sparring. I like the style. I like the style, man. I like watching the man. After rewatching the Kiko fight, Abe is in trouble. Kiko, man, he's a guy that he's one of those old school tough opponents where you just can't fully count out like that, because he's going to bring the pressure, and he's got these overhand shots that just don't see coming, and he's got still got that power on his shot. And so he was in trouble a little bit there, but Lopez is younger, shiftier, awkwarder. That's not even a word, but I'm going to make it work today. Awkwarder. It's going to be a good fight, man. For the hardcore fans of boxing, yes, I saw that Wednesday cards happening. Interesting Puerto Rican prospect fight broadcast by ProBox TV. ProBox TV is doing some really nice work in the boxing scene right now, man. I believe they bought Boxing Scene as well too. So appreciate you sharing that, my brother Pablo. For those that do not know, there is a boxing card tomorrow. Mini Navarrete, man, you got that right. Everyone thinks that Komatov takes it. I have it in the judge's hands. Man, I have been seeing people sway towards that side. And everybody's reason is a little bit different, but I'm rocking with Ford, man. I'm rocking with Ford. We're gonna see. It's gonna be a good fight, but I'm still rocking with Ford. I'm rocking with Ford. Boxing Learner. What's going on, Boxing Learner, man? Good to see you. Good performance by Takuma. 100%. 100%. Let's keep it pushing. Let's keep it pushing. Let me get your guys' thoughts on this fight right here. What do you guys think about this one? What do you guys think about this fight? Komatov needs stoppage if he's to win. I agree. What do we think about this fight, though? Let me pop this one back up. Gervonta Davis, Frank Martin, man, I like this fight. I know a lot of people don't like that fight, but Frank Martin was catching a lot of slack for the fight that he turned down, but now it seems like, he's the one laughing. He's getting a bigger payday. I don't know how much he's getting paid. I've heard so many different back and forth stuff. I heard 1.5. I heard 2 million, whatever the case is. It's a bigger fight to fight a bigger name. So what do we think about this fight, man? I think, Frank Martin could do a little something. He could do a little something because of the speed, hand speed, the athleticism. But it's a good fight. It's a good fight. What do we think? Do we like it? You know what I'm saying? Are we saying, yo, Tank, what's going on here, man? Like, what's this about? Do we not like it? Are we feeling it? Do we still trying to figure it out? What do you think about it? What do you think about it? What do you think about it? Let's go back to, caught this one. My man, Eric Carr, glad to finally caught you live. I'm a fan of your breakdowns. I appreciate you, man. I see you in the comments all the time, dropping knowledge, dropping information, man. You changed my perspective on a couple things as well, too, that made me see things a little bit differently last year in a couple fights. So I appreciate your information. I appreciate your knowledge, man. I appreciate you taking the time to tap in as well, too, man. Always, always love, man. Good to see you. Man, I hope Raymond Ford beat Komatov. He has a lot of talent. Both are young guys. We will see a great fight. That's all I always want to see, man. I don't like one-sided fights, man. It's not okay. It's a decent fight. Yeah, just want to get you guys' thoughts on it, man. Not. I don't really want to stay long on it. I don't even know when it's happened, but just want to get your thoughts on it. Let's move forward, man. As we're coming to the close of the show, let's go down to the cool down segment. There's a bunch of new faces that I've seen tapping in the comments. I appreciate everybody that take the time to tune in. For those who take the time to tap in weekly, you know what the cool down segment is about. For those who are new and just coming in, the cool down segment is my take. If you've been following since the beginning, you know my background is in track and field, and I share a bunch of that. But the cool down segment is my take and track when the race is done, practice is done, and you're cooling down, getting ready to go home. You know what I'm saying? And this is the part of the show where we talk about anything y'all want to talk about. We touch on it, stories, Q&A, whatever the case may be. So I have a bunch of questions that people have DM'd me that I'm going to be reading as well too, so I don't miss those. One of the questions tapped in was saying, I always want to read it to make sure it's not too personal. I don't want to put anybody's business out there. It says, Akeem, what do you think about Canelo, David Benavidez? Do you ever see them fighting in the ring? Nope, don't see it. I'm not a believer in that no more, man. I don't see it. I don't think we get to see that fight, man, unless it's a disgusting amount of money. I don't think we get to see it, man. Another one says, Akeem, man, he says, Akeem, you are way too nice in the comments. I'll be seeing people talk recklessly down there. How do you not cuss them out? That's funny, man. Man, bro, like it's I always try and look at things in a positive and perspective manner, man. I don't even try to go back and forth with cats. That's not what I'm about, man. To me, I'd rather focus more on the positive stuff than the negative stuff, bro. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It is what it is. I'm not going to get myself riled up by cats and folks like that, man. It doesn't put me in a space where I want to be in. I don't want to be angry. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be negative. You know what I'm saying? So I just let folks, I just keep it pushing, man. Cats want to get a reaction out of you. And you must think I'm a fool if I'm going to react to some Twitter fingers or some YouTube fingers. You know what I'm saying? So that's it, bro. We keep it pushing. That's it. We keep it pushing. I really like the old school fight. Frank, the Tank, all jokes aside, it's a great fight. I just don't like the inactivity. Tank is a sharp fighter. You can come in cold versus a fighter like that. And, Tank always has that eraser, bro. He has that, those shots, you know what I'm saying? And when you have like that, although I do think Tank is a much better complete fighter than he gets credit for. But yeah, man, it's crazy when you look at the old school fighters, man. Like there was a time when I think Mike Tyson fought like 14 or 18 times a year, in 1 year. Like that's crazy. I think the most we've seen now, we'll be lucky to see the big heavyweights fight once a year, let alone that much. You know what I'm saying? So I see Tank the most. Oh man, I was just saying that. I see Tank as the most complete fighter in his division, and out of his peers, he's like Bud at 137, man. I'm a big guy at Tank, bro. Big guy at Tank, man. Appreciate you, man. As I got those sentiments. It's always love, bro. It's always love. Man, days ago, I watched the fireman speech from Teddy Atlas and Timothy Bradley. I had goosebumps. I would love to hear that story from Timmy B. Man, I'm going to try one of the things that as the show goes, I wanted to grow it a little bit more. I'm going to try to get some guests on the show moving forward, man. We're going to see. I'm going to reach out to Tim and see if he'd like to be on. If you've been watching the tuning into the shows, you know he made a little guest appearance in the first one. We didn't even think it was him in the comments, and he showed up. So I'm gonna try to reach out to a couple casts and see. One of the names I have in mind is Oshaki Foster, so I'm gonna try to see if he wants to jump on. I might also try and get. Jeff Mayweather. I had him on the podcast a couple years back. I'm going to see if he wants to come on the show. Got a lot of love for Jeff. Always keeps it honest. 29 years ago this week, Nigel Benn and Gerard McKellen had a classic and ultimately tragic fight. That's a good documentary about it called The Fight of Their Lives. I'm going to check. I heard about this one the documentary. I haven't watched it yet, but I definitely got to check that one out, man. I like a good boxing documentary. Another one of the comments says, Akeem, bro, I saw a picture of you when you were running track and field. You look like a cruiserweight. Much love. Man, listen, man. I was nowhere near. First of all, where you find that picture, where you see that picture. But man, competition-wise, man, my race weight was about 162, 165. So I looked bigger than probably how many people the weight thought I was, man. I put on weight, muscle very easily, man. So you must have saw probably a track photo when I was looking right. Oh man, that's funny, bro. What's going on, my man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. I'm still going to visit that restaurant, man. I haven't forgot. Miss Libel, catch the replay. Much love, man. I appreciate you even tuning in, man. I love Jeff. He has a great boxing mind inside and the business too, man. He calls it like it is. And I always appreciate about that. Man, when he was on the podcast, he was talking about Floyd. And I asked him, I said, man, look, as people who are on the outside, we can all speculate why Floyd is so good and why he's been able to be so successful. But I said, from his family, from those who are in his camp, I said, why do you think Floyd was as good as he is and one of the greats? And he was just like, man, people always think that Floyd is this great defense that makes him so good, and the defense is good. But he was like, man, Floyd is one of the most disciplined fighters that I've ever seen. I was like, yo, what do you mean by that? We know what discipline means, but I like to get more into it. I'm trying to dig. And he tells me this story of in this fight, and I think it's on YouTube. And he said, I forgot who he said Floyd was fighting, but Floyd was in the corner. And his dad was talking to him. He was like, yo, young Floyd, like, this is what you got to do. He's coming in, man. You got to hook to the body. You got to hook to the head. Like, what are you doing? You can't be doing that. And Floyd is like looking out in the stands. He's looking to the right, looking to the left. And his dad tapping on the shoulder, like, yo, young Floyd, what did I say? What did I say? Because he thought he wasn't listening. And Floyd repeated word for word. You said hook to the body, hook to the head. Like, I got you. And he was just like, that was the type of thing that separated Floyd, was because it may seem like he's not locked in, but he's always locked in. And so he's like, when you guys hear stories about Floyd going to the club at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, you don't know that he jogged to the club and he jogged home and he doesn't drink. So, I'm going to see if we can have Jeff on, man, because he's got so many like great stories. And it's just, it would be good just to see the questions that you guys have, and we can ask him full time, man. So I'm going to try to get those popping moving forward, man. Appreciate, man, Pablo, appreciate this, brother. Really, really does mean a lot, man. I thank you for tuning in. Absolutely. It's always love between me and you. And I really appreciate you, man. You don't have to send anything. I never ask. So I appreciate you for the generosity of your heart to share it, man. That's love, man. I appreciate that. Again, man, you know, I'm a person, man, as that saying goes, how you do anything is how you do everything. You know me. If I'm gonna come with it, I'm gonna give 100% to it any day, man. So it's love. I appreciate you, man. I love the relay race at the Olympics. Was it fun or was it intense or both? Man, man, honestly, it's one of those things where like you don't really think about it too much from a from a fun standpoint, as strange as it seems. Let me give you a little bit more context, man. So I'm at the Olympics, and it's like the last race of the night. We had ran the heats of the 4x1 at like 10 a.m., very, very early. But the finals was on the same night. The finals was at 10:30 at night. So, in Brazil, man, like they're always playing different music and the atmosphere was jumping. It was going crazy. So I remember walking out, going to the starting blocks because I ran first. I popped it off. And I'm walking out, my brother Francisco, and I'm looking at the crowd, and it's like, it's loud. I see Jamaican flags, I see Canadian flags, I see Brazilian flags, almost every type of flag that you could see. And the stadium is rocking, it's jumping. But at the same time, it's just mentally, I'm just very quiet, very calm, because you can't get too caught up in looking out that you forget. Like sometimes you get intimidated and you get inside your head by the crowd noise. And for a split second, you let the nerves get the best of you. So for me, man, I took about 1 second to say, wow, like, this is dope. Like, there's thousands of people, 30, 40,000 people in the stadium and millions more watching. But that split second where it's like, oh, this is crazy, to I got a job to do. Let's lock back in, So that was looking back now, man. I think it was more of the intensity of it, because I was like, we may not get this opportunity again to get a medal, because every 4 years you don't know what could happen, So appreciate that question, man. Appreciate that question. Lights out. What's going on, big dog? Good to see you, man. I'm gonna rewatch and listen tomorrow. Oh man, that's love, man. Definitely let me know your thoughts. There's a bunch of stuff that you would like, and I know you have some topics and questions about, man. So would love to hear some of the stuff that we talked about, just to get your perspective on it. It's always love from me to you, man. I appreciate you, man. That moment brought so much joy to Senior. I remember that clip. It was a beautiful moment in Floyd's career and a classic corner moment. Absolutely, man. And it was great. I always like family oriented, when athletes are working with the family. It can not work in some of them, but when it does work, it's a beautiful thing, man. There's a bunch of classic moments as well too from that corner. Reminds me of what was it, Angelo Dundee? You're losing it, son. You're losing it. Another classic moment, man. Let me get to a couple more questions in the chat from the DMs last week. Akeem, what do you think about Bob Marley? And did you see his new movie? I know you were Jamaican born. I did not see the new movie. I've heard mixed reviews about it. I will see it at some point. But man, what was like growing up in Jamaica? Man, I loved it, man. I grew up in there's rough parts in every country, every state, every country, man. I grew up in the rougher parts of Jamaica, man, more on the countryside. And you kind of grow up a little bit early in certain parts when you see certain things, but Jamaica was beautiful, man. I always loved the simplicity of how people live there, and the community feel of it, man. Jamaica's always gonna be close to my heart, always will be, and so really enjoyed it, man. I went back when I was 11, and so I've been trying to go back for the recent couple of years, but sometimes things happen and got to make some adjustments, man. Two more questions before we close out with the quote of the week. This one says, Akeem, if there was one fighter that you would like to meet, who would it be? Oh, great question. Great question. Great question. Great question. Great question. And I want to ask that to you guys as well, too. If there was one fighter that you would want to meet, who would it be? For me, man, it would be oh man, did you mean like could they be like dead or alive? So assuming I'm gonna go both. I'm gonna manipulate your question, my man. Fighter that I would like to meet is Mike Tyson. I would love to have a conversation with Mike just to hear. I hear his stories. I've read his books. But for those who do know Mike Tyson, man, I mean, the man has had an incredible events in life where, man, like, the fact that, and Mike is always, he's got like one screw in, one screw off. Like, you just never know what you're going to get from him. But from where he started in life to what he's been able to accomplish, to losing everything once he had it, and the resurgence to get himself back to where he is, and some of the stuff that he's sharing now. I don't agree with all of the stuff Mike does. I don't agree with a bunch of the stuff in that, he went to jail for and all that stuff that happened. But I'm someone where it's not about perfection, man. I would love to know his regrets. I would love to know his perspective when he was a kid, how he was approaching boxing. What was the stuff that Cus D'Amato was telling him when they weren't in the gym, right? Why did he feel like he had to prove to this man that he could be great? Like, these are all the small intricacies of stuff that I would like to know. You know what I'm saying? What was it like? What was the pain like when you lost your daughter? You know what I'm saying? Like, how did you even get the strength to say, man, like, like I can continue moving with life again? Like, these are stuff that I want to know. And he's got a lot of pain in his life, but you can still see, out of pain came some positive things. And he went down another path and he found his way back. So that's one of the things that I would love to ask. And I'd also love to know, like, who hits the hardest. Obviously some boxing questions, but from a life aspect. So alive, it would be him. Someone who is not here, man, I think it's hard not to say Muhammad Ali. I think it's hard not to say Muhammad Ali. Yeah, I'd say Muhammad Ali, man, because I want to know about that year when he was on top of the world. And then he made a decision in his mind that I'm not going to fight no war. I'm not going to do that. And at the height of his career, to throw everything away for what you believe in and what you stand on, like, I want to know that. That's what I want to know. I know you can fight. I know you pretty. I know all that stuff. Float like a butterfly, sting like a. I know that. But I want to know the other side as well, too. My guys from Kingston, much love, man. Kingston, always still got a lot of family there, a lot of family in Spanish Town, Oshirias, a lot of family in Falmouth, a lot of family in Westmoreland, different, a lot of family in the Grill. Much love, man. Much love. Check out Marley's biography, the one called Catch a Fire. I don't think I saw that. I don't think I read that book. I'm gonna definitely check that one out, man. My brother Francisco is a historian, man. If you guys don't follow this guy on Twitter, man, he be posting a whole bunch of stuff that I'll be checking out, I'll be watching, and it'd be making me nostalgic. That's a good Scrabble word. Nostalgic? It's a good Scrabble word. Akeem, after winning the bronze medal, did you want to go back home ASAP to share the joy with your people, or you had a feeling like, I don't want to fight back, I want to live this dream forever? Man, that's a great question, man. I want to say two things there, man. And people ask me about all this time, like the Olympics was never a dream of mine. In all honesty, it was never something that I set out and say I wanted to become Olympian. I wanted to go to the Olympics. It was something that kind of came in the sense of, man, I just want to get my school paid for, man. Like, I wanted to get my education paid for. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. And sports was an opportunity to do that. But I thought I was going to play in the NFL. I thought I was going to be a football player, and some situations happened. And then when track came into the mix, I was just like, man, I want to see how far I can go in this thing. I didn't love track. I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't a love of mine. But once I made up in my mind to say, man, I want to see as far as I can go. I want to go as fast as I can go. And let's just see what this thing can do. So while it wasn't initially a dream, it turned into a goal and an aspiration for me. And so I don't hold any regrets in the sport of track and field, man. You know, I ran as fast as I could. I didn't break 10 seconds, but I got close, 10:06. I didn't break that, that 10-second 9-9 barrier. Fastest mark was 10:06, but I laid everything on the track, no regrets. So that's the first part. The second part, man, when it came to the medal, there is a quote by Maya Angelou that says, "I come as one, but I stand with 10,000." When I was on the podium, man, getting the medal, and next week I'm going to bring out the medal and I'm going to show it to you guys here. But when I got the medal, that was the first thought that came to mind. It wasn't about me. I know a lot of people, they're thinking about the great moment, and look, nothing wrong with that. But for me, it just made me think of like, man, there was a lot of people that helped Akeem get to here, right? A lot of people who were praying for me on my behalf when I was injured and battling certain things. A lot of people who were sending me encouraging stuff when life events happens. A lot of people who were telling me that I could do it, encouragement, and cared about Akeem, the person, not cared about Akeem, just the athlete. So I was just like, man, I can't wait to go back into my community and share it with the people that helped me. And that's what I did, man. I took that thing everywhere. I shared it with schools. I shared it with the youth attention facility centers when I would go in to speak there. I shared it with everybody because the medal is just an object to me. But at the same time, I understand what it can do and what it can provide hope for the other ones coming behind me who may have grew up the same way. And to be quite honest, it's that saying where, if I could do it, then they could do it. And I know a lot of people say that, but in life, man, like, you know, great beginnings, man. And so for me, that is what I was thinking of. I was like, man, I can't wait to show it to my peoples. And that's what I did. Pablo, in all honesty, man, I can count on how many times I've looked at the medal on my own. Because to me, it's like, I got the memories up here. You know what I'm saying? So for me, man, I took it and shared it with a whole bunch of people. And that was the part for me that really, really was important, man. Not saying the moment wasn't great. It was great. Memorable moment. I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. But I also think it's something that I'll probably appreciate as I age a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Julio Cesar Chavez, every time he fought, we were 40. That's a lot of people, my guys. A lot of people. 40 to 50 deep at my house. All my aunts and uncles and cousin, neighborhood friends, the whole experience made me fall in love with boxing. Man, sports is a great gap that bridges people together, man. And when you can have people just coming, and even if they're not all watching the fights, but the atmosphere, the excitement, whether you're someone that drinks or it's a cookout, whatever the case may be, what you're explaining to me just seems like it's a memory that you're going to remember forever. And as you're talking about it, like I can even picture it right now inside of the head. Everybody's there, you know what I'm saying, having a good time, man. So, and Julio Cesar, man, Chavez, it's a bad boy, man. That's a bad boy, man. That's a bad boy, man. So appreciate each of you, man. Let us close out with the quote of the week. Man, it's crazy. As I was talking about at the beginning, it's about to be March. It felt like January 1st just came, 2024 just came, but we keep it pushing. And I know a lot of you have a bunch of things going on in life, man. And so I appreciate you guys taking the time to tune in and tapping in with the show. And so if you've been watching the channel for quite some time, man, it's boxing specifically, but we also talk life. And I think boxing is a great metaphor for life because, we're all in a fight trying to figure things out as we move forward. So this week's quote of the week is none other from Bob Marley, man. The greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity to affect those around him positively. Man, I want to read that one again because when I was searching for one this week, man, this one hit me. It's always a great reminder. Greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity to affect those around him positively. And of course, when we are saying man, we're not just talking about men, we're talking about women, right? All man, woman. So what this makes me think of, man, and perhaps the story will put it into full circle. I heard this story a couple years back. And when I say couple years back, back in college. So heard the story back in college, man, about this gentleman. This guy was a big entrepreneur. It's a real story. Big entrepreneur guy doing very well in business. And he goes around speaking at conferences. And so on this particular time that he was going to speak at this conference, he took his son. So his son was about, if I remember correctly, his son was about 9, 10, 11 years old. And so his son is sitting in the back room and he's watching his dad speak, and his dad is going crazy. Dad is saying a lot of great things. And so they're on the flight back home after the conference. Like the son, him and his dad are having a conversation. He says, Dad, like you really said some great things here, man. I really appreciate what you said. Something you said stuck out to me. And so he said, great, son, like, I'm really glad that you came. I'm really glad that you experienced this. And the son says, Dad, like, I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. And the dad goes, great. Like, what do you want to do? And he said, man, I want to work at a grocery store. I want to bag groceries. I want to bag groceries. He says, oh, okay. Like, that's no problem. We can make that, we can make that happen as soon as we get back. So dad goes to the grocery store, talks to the people, and he says, hey, like, is there an opportunity here? Like my son, he would love to come here and help out. So gets the job. 3 weeks goes by and the son, he's enjoying it. He's bagging groceries, doing it, having a great time. It's what he thought that he was, but he comes home and he says, Dad, like, I want to make a bigger impact. I want to make a bigger difference. Dad goes, okay, man, this is what you should do. Whenever you're bagging your groceries, just tell them, hey, have a nice day. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Son says, no, like, I want to do something greater. Like I want to do something a little bit more. I want to make a bigger impact. I want to make a difference. And so the dad and the son, they have this conversation. He says, son goes, Dad, you think you can help me make cards? Like, I want to make cards and I want to write in the cards and I want to drop it in their bags as I'm bagging it so that they can have something to read on their way home. Like, can you help me write notes and cards? So they spend like 2 days writing personal cards, quotes, and personal messages, whole bunch of different things. And so it equals out to be like 100 cards. And so for the next 2 weeks, the young man, every time he's bagging the groceries, taking his card out, putting it in, boom, have a nice day. Takes the card, put in the groceries, boom, have a nice day. So couple weeks after he's doing that, the manager is walking through the aisles, and he's seeing there's a lot of people here in the grocery store, but they all seem to be in aisle 3, right? They're all in aisle 3. So the manager goes and he makes an announcement. He says, yo, everybody in the store, look, we have aisle 4 open, we have 6 open, we got 7, we got 8 open, we got 9 open. Just know that there's other ways how to cash out your groceries. And so after this announcements, he's thinking, everybody's going to disperse and they're going to go through different lanes, different lines, and nobody's budging. And the manager is like, yo, what's going on? Why isn't nobody going to these other lanes? And so he gets curious and he asks, he's like, yo, why are you guys just in this lane? And the man says, I'm in this lane because I want to get the card that this young man gives us. Like I came here last week and something in that card, like it uplifted me and I don't even need anything. I'm waiting for this young man's card, right? There was this other gentleman who was on his way home and he looked inside of his bag and didn't have his card. And so he turned around, went back to that line and got his card. And so it was an amazing, I say that story as you bring it all together. It's like, man, how this young man started off with a small idea, with wanting to make a difference. He wanted to make an impact. And he didn't know how, but he figured it out in a simplistic and easy form. And people loved it. They appreciated it. And if the world around us maneuvered like that more times than not, man, things would be moving in a much greater and more positive manner. So it's just like anytime that you have an opportunity to encourage, to uplift in the smallest form, it's definitely very important that we take that and we do something to uplift, to encourage, man. So that was the quote of the week. I hope it resonated with you. I hope it can be an encouragement to you as it was to me when I was trying to find the right one. This last one nowadays, especially because of social media, is so tough for the young people to think about their integrity before looking for a new pair of Jordans. Man, that's 100% right, man. So many people want to make an impact in the world that they don't care if it's a negative or a positive. They just want to be seen. And it's not always the right way. But we still got to continue to be the light and to continue to do what we can to change the minds of those coming behind us, man. So again, thank you all for taking the time to tune in, man. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to tap in, spend a little time with me on Tuesday. I know there's still a lot of week left, so I don't take your eyes or your ears for granted. It's always love, appreciation, and respect. So we'll definitely see you guys next week, Tuesday. Much love. Keep the faith, keep the strength, stay encouraged, everybody, and we will see you next week. God bless.